Lizzy with Long Distance Gamers, and today I'm going to be talking about Birdwatcher. What do I think about it, and how do we play it remotely? Now before we get started, there are of course two different sides. The side running the game, they for sure have a copy and they play the game mostly like normal. Now the remote side, they may or may not have a copy. We will be going over how the remote side sets up and how the remote side responds to the game. Okay, so here we have the game set up ready for starting. So the first thing that the remote side has done is separate out all the different types of birds by what type they are, with the exception being these black sickle birds, sickle-billed birds. These are also divided into the points that they are worth at the end. And these imposter nestings, while these are unique birds, they are enough of them that they are separated, and then all the rest of the unique birds go in their own pile. Then also I usually divide these out by number as well. So if it's the 7, they can just say, hey, it's the 7, or they can refer to the name on the card. So what the running side has done is they have put all the cards out and have distributed the birds. They gave each player 2 of these, and each player selects 1. So I chose the fake branch, and this is public knowledge, and they played the expert tracker, and they are first player, so they get that token. And then the running side, they can either take a picture of each person's tree, or they could just say them out loud, and there's a few things to note on how to do that. So you would need to, of course, say the name of the bird. And then if it doesn't have an insect, you just don't say anything. If it does, you would say blue bird of paradise plus the ant or the beetle. That's the beetle. Yeah. Gotta know the insects. Then you just go through all of them. Everyone has 4. You go through what is in the jungle. The publications are another one that you divide out by this on top. So you have them by 1, 2, and then the weird ones. So we have a black ribbon and a bird on the forest. Or bird on the tree, not the forest. And so then to put out these, they would just say, hey, it's a 2. Say what it says, so on and so forth. Or they could, again, take a picture, and then just whenever they bring out a new one throughout the game, then they would go ahead and simply state what it says instead of taking a new picture. So that is the setup. So during the game, this is a very nice player board. So you can do 3 actions. And then if you would happen to have 2 of these insects that you get, you could turn them in for a free action during your turn. You can do that once. So the actions are, you could take a photo. So if I wanted to get this one into my photo journal, because that's ultimately what you want to do, I will have to first startle a bird. So I might startle this one and put it in any space in the clearing. For the sake of remote, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I might say, I'm going to go ahead and put it in 3, so it gets startled, so it's in there tapped. And then I can put any bird in here, so I can go ahead and place this one there. So that would be 1 action. And since I placed a bird that has an insect, I then get to gain that insect. So that was my second action, or that was my first action. For my second action, I could choose to run the jungle. So when you run the jungle, you take these and place them in here. So I could choose to, so I'll place the red bird of paradise into 3, which placing it on a startled bird causes it to get unstartled. The black sickle I'll put in 1, and the blue birds of paradise I will put in 2. And then the running side will fill this back up. So it might be another red bird of paradise, no insect, a blue bird of paradise, and this one might have a moth, for instance, and a 4 blue sidebill. So that would be another action. And then a third action I could do is what's called a bird call. Now a bird call, you'd look in both the jungle and the clearing and take any 2 bird or any bird of the same type. So I could take these 2, not that one because that one's not covered or uncovered. Or I could take these 2. Or I could take these 2. Now, if this one was instead this imposter nesting, I could choose to take this one or this one. They would not have to be, you don't have to take 2. You could take as many as you have room for. So I might choose to take these two. So I would say I'm going to take both of the blue birds of paradise. And so they go right into my tree. And that would be my 3 actions. So the other 2 actions that you can take, they both take 2 action points. So zooming a lens, like if I really want this card, I would get to add this from their tree to my journal, which helps me with my set collection. But then I have to take a tree from my tree and add it to theirs, so I might give them that. And then they get the top card from the jungle. And oh, by the way, this refills. So maybe it was a 4 blue sickle. And so maybe they are drawing, I don't know, a red bird of paradise with no insect. So that would be something that would take 2 actions. And then for 2 actions, you could also grab one of these. So, this one is worth, 3 citation points, and it has 3 of these books on the side, which comes in handy for the end of game. But that's it. You just go through your turn. You collect these bugs, you collect these birds. At the end of the game, your tree or your photo journal might look something like this. You are, of course, keeping track of everybody's. So theirs might look something, they would have some cards down there as well. Something else I didn't mention is whenever you play these, they would be discarded. This one is one that stays in effect all game. But this one, so they could use it and it doesn't cost an action to use. They would just use it this card. But then you can add up all your points, and everybody does this. So the first thing you do citation points for your photo journal. So you add up all of those. So for instance, this would be 3 and 2 for completed set. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So that would be worth 8. And then 3. And then species award. So the one that has the most of these in their photo journal scores 7. And second most gets 3. You have to have at least 1 in your journal to be able to score. However, if you don't get any, you just score nothing. And then the greatest variety of species, so the number of different birds has a 7 and 3. And then these insects, they have to be unique ones. So only one of each one counts, but you could get up to 15 points for that. And then these books, all of these publication journals have books on the side. Whoever has the most of these get 5 points, and whoever has the least gets -2. For the birds themselves, this would score, since there are 4 birds in this set, they would score 20. Now, if there was another one of this, that would be 20 for these, and then 4 for that, so that would be 24. This only has 2, so you look down here and it's 8. And then 2, 3 is 14, and 10. So you get, so there's 2 birds of that. You get the, the second one down. And then whoever has the most points is the winner. A tiebreaker is whoever has the most points still, or most birds in their tree. So if me and him were tied, they would win because they have 3 birds in their tree while I have none. As you can see, this actually translates really well to remote play. The biggest thing is the setup, because you have to separate all of these birds out, and then you have to find all the birds for these 4 for every player, and these 3 throughout the game. It does speed up a little bit. It does slow down if anyone does the jungle action, which is putting all of these birds into the clearing, because then you get 3 more cards in the jungle and you have to go find them and put them out. But other than that, it translates really well because I can see what you're doing, you can see what I'm doing, so it's all public information. So that is really nice. At first, I was disappointed that there was so many of the artworks that were the same on all these birds. However, while you're only looking at this for the scoring, it does make it much easier, well, one for remote play, but it makes it much easier for gameplay to be able to see multiples of the same bird, so you know these are the same species. So you can grab all 3 of these. If they had all different artwork, you would have to be looking at the name every time, or the color of this strip, which, for colorblind people, that would be a little bit more of a challenge. But still, looking at the names of all of them would get really old really fast, versus you could just look at the picture and off you go. So I do actually like that there are duplications in all of the pictures. Something that makes this game a really nice, easy to play is this player board. Not only do you get all of your actions here, you get the end game scoring right there, as well as the end game trigger. So the only thing you really have to remember is that each player starts with 4 in their tree, and it even shows that the maximum is 6 there. So this is really nice. The hardest part is, okay, I did this action and that action, so I have 1 more action point to use. That can be hard, especially if you're doing something like clearing the jungle. So something that I have found a little bit helpful is to take tokens and then be like, okay, on my turn, you know, I do 1 action, 2 action, and 3 action just to help out. I don't usually use these. I actually use what is in here. These. So that way it's easier just to keep track and go that way. Because grabbing this is 2 points. Doing that zoom lens thing, which is taking them directly from someone else's tree into your journal, is 2 action points. But it can get a little bit tricky if you do them. So you kind of just move one of these over for every action point you do to make it easy to not get lost. But I played this with my boyfriend. He's not a really big board gamer. He does have some really good strategy when he plays, but he picked this up in that first game. So it is a really good entry level game so that people can play it who aren't super into games. And if you are a solo player, that they do come with these other cards that you can use in the game, which I have played against the solo a few times, but you can get a few more challenging. They start off easy, which I've yet to beat the easy, so I'm kind of a little bit nervous to go up against this really hard one. So hardest. So they start with some books. They start with some of those black sickle bell cards that make it, you know, for the set collection for that. So the solo is really good. A little bit more challenging. Like, I wish that I could win on the easy one. Does feel different than the multiplayer, and I do think that this sweet spot is generally around 3 players. 2 players was really good. You had some really tight back and forth, while 3 players, the birds move around more and you get to just see more of the birds. So I do really like the 3 player a little bit more than the 2, and the 4 just, for me, it takes a little bit too long. I do find this a very solid 8 out of 10. I do enjoy the gameplay. It has very interesting strategies at times, although it is luck on what comes out, and sometimes you'll do the clearing or moving the jungle to the clearing, and then the birds will come out that you don't need, and so you have all unique birds. So you can only grab 1, and you were really hoping to grab at least 2, so that way you could easily put your birds in, because having to, you know, scare a bird before you could put a bird into your journal, that takes a lot more birds than you think it would. But it does make it an interesting game to play for sure, and I definitely want to get this back to the table. So if you do find this theme interesting, this is definitely a very cute game to get into your collection, and definitely check it out. But until next time, just remember to have fun, be present, and be you. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. Also, if you find value in our content, please like, comment, or subscribe. Let a friend or family member know that we exist. Help us spread our channel and bring remote gaming to a table near you. Thank you very much, and have a great day.